And it's such an honor and a privilege to now be joined by Steve Bass, and he's coming to us live from East London. How are you doing, Steve?
No, good, thank you. Great to be on your show again. I was on the show in 2019.
I
So it's
know
good
it
to be
was
back.
quite a long. Yeah, it's good to have you back. Really, really so good to have you back. So, Steve is a husband, a father to two ladies, young ladies,
That's
18
right.
and 21. He's an author, he's a counselor. He's been in the ministry of counseling and helping fathers and marriages and parents for more than 20 years. And that's why we just thought it's so important to talk around this thing of teen suicide, but not from a place of depression or wanting to create more anxiety, but rather to highlight what parents need to be aware of. So, Steve, I mean, one of the things that I was looking at in preparation for the interview this morning was the sad reality that they say that there's a high risk of anxiety and depression and possible suicide, specifically amongst 15 to 24-year-olds, and that suicide is the fastest growing cause of death in that age group. Just give us some more in terms of stats
Yes.
and things like that.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that they say that in South Africa, every 40 seconds, an attempt of suicide is attempted, and then every 3 seconds, someone does commit suicide. So it's quite a hectic stat to think about, that there's so many. And because of COVID, a lot of people have become more aware of that. And that's why the stats have gone up. They realized that there were so many more youngsters being affected by that, and depression, anxiety started to increase quite a lot. So if you look at the SADAG, which is South African Depression and Anxiety Group, if you look at their website, they're fantastic websites to go to talk to because of what they do. But they say, between January and September 2021, they total calls received 466,000 calls, and this is suicidal, total calls. There was an 47.75 increase from last year, from 2020, 85,000 suicide calls on the suicide helpline, 85,516. 1 in 5 of those phone calls was a suicidal phone call. There's average of 2,200 calls a day. And so you can see that there's a major upsurge in that. And that would be a good number to have for people, and I can give it to you at the end of the broadcast. But that would be a good number to have, or to actually do research on any issue that your child may face, like anxiety, depression, suicide. There's even some articles on ADD, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very good website to have as a parent.
Very, very helpful. Steve, in terms of what you've experienced in your counseling rooms, obviously without giving away any private information, but what have you been seeing, and especially with COVID and the reality around that?
I've seen a lot, John. I've seen a lot of increase in anxiety, and that's across the board, from children as young as I see children as young as 5 years of age, but say from 5 years of age right up to the older folk in their 70s and 80s are struggling a lot with anxiety and depression, and just fear of the future, fear of what's going to happen next, a fear of the unknown, fear of the unpredictability of life at the moment, the economy, all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole lot of factors, financial factors, just relationship, marriages. That they had an increase. There was a website, a lawyer's website, that had a 20% increase of legal documents to find out how to get a divorce. Over the COVID period. So there's a 22% or something like a 22% increase of those kind of queries. And a lot of counseling that because I did a talk on this a while back, but a lot of counselors found that there was an increase of people wanting advice on how to end their marriage, not to actually save their marriage. So it's actually quite a scary thing with COVID. There was a tremendous amount of impact between that age, the 15 and the 26-year-old. That's the major. You've seen a major upsurge of all kinds of problems in that age group. People's lives are kind of spiraling, and I've seen a major increase in the intensity of people's issues, where, a couple of years ago they would have struggled with a thing like this, and you would be able to talk, and it would just take a couple of sessions to help them out and come, work through it and stuff. Now, a very similar issue like that will take a lot more sessions, because there's a whole lot more underlying issues and stuff, which is quite hectic for people.
Yeah, really quite hectic. If you've just joined the conversation, we're talking to Dr. Steve Bass, and he is a husband, he's a father, he's a counselor, he's an author, and we're just touching on just some of the reality with regard to anxiety, depression amongst teenagers. As we wrap up, Steve, this morning, I want you to speak to parents listening to us right now, parents watching this video on Facebook or on YouTube. What is some of the advice that you would give to those parents, especially as they navigate those challenging teen years?
Yeah, look, I think it's, if there's been a previous suicide attempt, they say that between 20 and 50% of people who kill themselves have previously attempted suicide. So if there's a previous suicide attempt, obviously the risk is higher. So I would be more alert and more attentive to their moods and their needs and stuff like that. But if you see that there's an increase of talk of death and suicide, if there's increasing depressive symptoms and anxiety, things like that, where they have become a lot more withdrawn, and they're pulling away from their friend, they're pulling away from activities that they normally enjoy and like to do, they're more tired and lethargic than they were before. Remember that the teenage years, the teenage emotions are going to go up and down, and they are going to fluctuate normally. So it would be good to get them on some kind of natural, I normally suggest some natural medication if it's not a severe a case of depression or anything like that, but generally just to help a teenager navigate those fluctuating emotions anyway. There is a natural product which I recommend. So if any of your listeners ever want to get hold of me, they can do that, but that would be a good thing to look at. But also, just if there are signs that you observe. Now, here's the key. You need to have a strong relationship with your teenager in order to observe these signs, because if you're not connected to your teen, you're going to miss these signs. So you need to be able to be alert and watch and talk and listen attentively, listen without judgment, listen without criticism, listen without trying to solve or fix a problem. And then, of course, have someone on, even if one of my clients said, I've got your number on speed dial. So, even if you've got a number of someone that you can trust, that you can talk to, get hold of a good counselor. That, there's a lot of good counselors out there that specialize in suicide, stuff like that, and and depression and anxiety. So find someone who can help you with that, so that you can talk to. Find a support group. Get onto the SADAG website. So if listeners are listening, it would be a good one. So if you want to take the suicide crisis line, is 0800 567 567. I'll say it again: 0800 567 567. And I would, go to the website. It's www.sadag.org, and there's tremendous amount of information there for you to read. But it's always good to have someone that you can talk to. So find someone that can support. Find a support group. Some people that can help you. Someone could talk to your teenager about their thing. Maybe there's a youth leader at church, or there's a pastor or someone that they can, just build a relationship with. Because often what I've found is that they don't want to talk about these issues if there isn't a relationship. So they're scared to talk about, generally speaking, counseling is all about relationship building. And so one of the first things that any person, but especially a teenager, needs to build up a relationship with a person first. So it'll be important to have someone that they can have built a relationship up, talk to, and then just be aware. Just remove any dangerous objects. So if they have been in the cutting themselves or stuff like that, then take care of that. Remove razors, remove any objects that they can use to do that kind of stuff. But it would be good to just sit them down and talk to them, and just find out where they're at, what they're going on, and then observe the signs. If there's any things that they're doing that they normally wouldn't do, especially if they're withdrawing, if they wanting to sleep more often than normal, and there's no other circumstances, they didn't have a late night, or they been studying hard, etc., etc. So there's none of those contributing factors. So these are things that are outside of the normal behaviors. So teenagers do sleep longer or later than others and stuff. But if there's a switch in that pattern and moving around like that, then you can pick that up and see.
Fantastic. Steve, that's where we're going to have to leave it for now. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Pleasure.
As always, you bring great information and help to parents, and we wish you and the rest of your family all the best. God bless.
Great. Thank you very much.